I'll just start out by saying that this is largely a rant. I mean, I'm not going with facts, figures, and because I think a lot of people already know about the mechanics of ranked choice voting. Um, but this is what I'm excited about, and that's what I title it, Why I'm Excited About Ranked Choice Voting. George Washington and Thomas Jefferson were both slaveholders, as well as many of the founding fathers of the United States. Did they believe in freedom? Of course they did, but not in the way we presently view freedom. They were in a different world with different conditions. They were faced with authoritarian rule called monarchy. We are currently faced with authoritarian rule. This is basically decisions being made that affect people's lives without input from the people. This is known as being governed with no representation, or in the case of the founders of the United States, taxation without representation. This was a very big issue for those living in the 1700s. And to tell the truth, it is an issue of growing concern in our present day government. This is pretty much what democracy is about. This is why it is so important. In essence, it is the generator of power. When one person can direct the action and lives of other people, they have power over those people. Now, let me say that one person making decisions that other people carry out is not in itself a bad thing. Architects, engineers make decisions about buildings, roads, bridges that other people accomplish. The results benefit the lives of many. This is what I call a good and appropriate use of power. And one thing about the common action of this kind of power is that the workers who physically act in making whatever it is they are ordered to do so with agreement that they are to be compensated for their time, for their effort, and their work. But I digress, or do I? I am talking about the foundation of the United States from monarchy to democracy, and that's what's at stake. The function of government is the function of government. Ancient Greece had the most functioning democracy in recorded history. Rome became a representative government with senators, but they were not elected, and that gave way to the establishment of an emperor. It seems that power follows the path of individuals making the rules for others, rather than the many deciding for themselves. This is a blatant statement, but this is what history bears witness to. The United States is an effort to make government of the people, by the people, for the people, work, and it has for a significant part over a couple of hundred of years. It has made this land the greatest country in the world and the most powerful in history. But to quote an old adage, all things must come to an end. Is this going to be the case with this government and on our watch? I certainly hope not, and I'm willing to defend this process called democracy. We are definitely in a crisis, and the way we are governed is at stake. With all the polarity of the two-party system, we are at an all-time high of division, and as many know, divided we fall. One essential element of power is unity. Clever people throughout history have manipulated adversaries to be divided and fight each other, often with disastrous results. I make these statements to illustrate the importance of what is going on in the voting booth. Voter suppression and intimidation is a very real thing. The inability of third political parties to gain a foothold and voice in American government is a very real problem. This pandemic is testing the resolve of the country and the world. Even though we have a scientific community coming up with vaccines, the disinformation of a powerful push for autocratic rule has kept this country from moving forward and making strides to bring life back to a normal or better state. Over 600 million people have died, and yet millions do not seek out to find a remedy that is demonstrating positive results because of disinformation and a push for autocratic rule. This is indeed sad and scary for many who are witnessing this process. And so I get back to ranked choice voting. In my estimation, ranked choice voting is a real effort to revive and make democracy work. Without such a tool, business as usual is leading to a downward spiral that is looking worse and worse. The people with the most power and wealth are using these things or tools to gain even more power and wealth. And what is this leading to? Well, by any other name, it may be called a form of slavery. I call it economic slavery, exploitation and oppression in the workplace and eventually the street. Ranked choice voting can make a difference. You generally know the mechanics. Instead of a winner take all, the voter is given more than one choice for a representative in government. It eliminates the spoiler effect and the fear and rage that accompanies it. A citizen votes for their first choice of representative, and if there are more than two candidates, they would have the ability to cast another vote for a second and third or fourth or whatever number of candidates there are. If their first choice receives the least amount of votes, then their second choice becomes their vote, and so on till one candidate emerges as a majority ruler, winner. I see this as a game changer that will breathe real life into the democratic system and further the flawed vision of people like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson for freedom and self-determination. We are truly on their shoulders, and they would care about the republic they so much fought to bring into existence. And even though scripture tells of a kingdom, it is more of a father who brings order and rule to people for their benefit and well-being, rather than an owner who gets out of its workers all it can without care or concern for their workers' well-being that determines true success. And so we are in the midst of a petition drive here in Kansas City. The idea is to make ranked choice voting the method we elect our mayor and city council members. It calls for an amendment to the city charter. If we gather 3,500 valid signatures submitted by November 15th, it can be placed on the ballot for the next April election. This is a first step in an effort to bring ranked choice voting to the state of Missouri. Many cities and 2 states have already adopted this process, but without much recognition or media coverage, it is an uphill push. So won't you help make this reality and a real stride to put the Green Party on the map of the USA? Thank you.